talk about Walker White because I was going to get into the coaches on the road visits. One of the first visits we know of that Hugh Freeze made was to Little Rock Christian in Arkansas to see Walker White. He came in Monday for a visit. You talked to him, Keith. What was the feel?
Well, you and I are always talking about reading the tea leaves. A lot of times we have good sources. We don't have to read the tea leaves. People tell us what's going to happen. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you have to literally read the tea leaves. And, well, you pointed it out. That was Hugh Freeze's, we think, first visit of this January evaluation or January contact period where coaches can get out of the road. That was his first school. So first school he went to, we think. Walker White, I keep wanting to call him Walker Howard, but Walker White, 4-star quarterback coming off of a solid season at Little Rock Central in Arkansas. He told us going into the visit, he said, I'm really intrigued by Auburn. He's a deeply religious young man, and he felt like he already had a connection with Hugh Freeze because he knows Hugh Freeze's story. He knows how strong of a Christian Hugh Freeze is. And so he brought that up. I didn't bring that up. This was before the visit. And he also said, I love his story, the redemption story, the comeback story, right? That was before the visit. We were already starting to get some vibes. And man, Freeze, first visit, all the things this guy's saying about the Freeze and about his offense. And then he visited Jeffrey, which it took me a long way to get to that point. Yeah. And it went better than expected. He spent about 8 hours there. Okay, wow. 7.5, 8 hours there with his family. Was going to visit, I think, Bama the next day. That visit didn't take place. Part of the visit was Hugh Freeze driving him around campus. Ooh. Gosh, I've been covering Auburn for a long time, and the head coach ain't driving somebody around campus in a golf cart unless they're serious about that guy, right?
Absolutely.
Some head coaches don't do it at all, but that tells you something. And you and I have talked about this. We feel like this guy, it sure feels like he's their number one QB target right now. I mean, it absolutely feels like it. So he spent a lot of time with Hugh Freeze, and he's told me, he said, I love that Hugh Freeze isn't afraid to let the world know he's a Christian. Well, I don't generally get into those, the religious talk in a recruitment, unless it's you get the feeling that it's truly important to a young guy. And it is because he's the one bringing it up, right? And he loved that about Hugh Freeze, and he feels like that they're aligned in that area. So that's a big deal to this young guy. And then he knows Hugh Freeze likes to throw the heck out of the football. Okay. So they're really clicking right now. His plan is to come back to Auburn for spring practice. He wants to see it up close and personal and get to know Hugh Freeze and the offensive coordinator, Philip Montgomery, and Ken Austin, who's going to be working with the QBs. I mean, gosh, Auburn's really got an arsenal of wizards working with these QBs. So that's a big selling point on the recruiting trail, believe me. And so when you look at what they've done with guys before, Robert Griffin with Montgomery, Malik Willis and Chad Kelly with Hugh Freeze. So it's all lining up right now. Everything is telling us that, one, he's the number one guy on the board. He's got to be. If not one, he's certainly in the conversation, but we think he's number one. And two, Auburn is way up on top of his board too. Now, who else is he looking at? Well, Ole Miss, but Ole Miss just picked up a young transfer today. Walker Howard, the other Walker. Does that mean, a quarterback doesn't want to get stacked behind guys? You know what I mean? So also he's looking at Auburn and seeing great opportunity moving forward. So I think Auburn's going to be a factor here, a big factor. I'm afraid to say favorite because I'm just starting to get to know the guy, and I know you are too. But, man, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up at Auburn, quite frankly. This is a 4-star kid. This is the guy that right after he got the job, Hugh Freeze had already identified him as the guy or a big guy. And so, to me, it's all looks like it's heading in the right direction for Auburn. I guess that's the best way to put it, Jeffrey. I don't know how you feel about it.
Absolutely, from reading your stuff, from talking to people who know more about it than I do.
Yeah,
I would say, I think it's safe to say, at least right now, Auburn is certainly one of, if not the team to beat. I mean, they're in very good position. I'm not saying I'm not putting in a prediction or anything like that.
I'm scared early.
But him coming back to a practice for another visit in the span of 2 months, Hugh Freeze going to see him. You got to feel good. If you were another school wanting this kid, you would kind of be a little worried about what you're seeing with his interest in Auburn.
That's right. I mean, he already liked Auburn and Hugh Freeze. He already liked Auburn. He already liked Hugh Freeze because of the offensive elements. And now they've clicked on a personal level.
Right.
And a lot of times that's what gets a school over the hurdle, the final hurdle, right? I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not ready to put in a pick yet, but in a couple of weeks when I reach out to him again and see where things are headed and ask him how often he's talked to Auburn and if it's still moving in that direction. Obviously, Clemson's somebody to watch because we know Dabo. A lot of the similar, wears the religious elements on his sleeve, and I think that's going to resonate with him as well. Alabama's involved, Ole Miss obviously again, but now they've picked up the LSU transfer Walker Howard and Alabama and Arkansas, and I think Texas A&M too. So
yep,
there's a lot of great schools involved, but It just seems like he's clicking with Auburn, and he has to see the opportunity there with the QB room being where it is right now, Jeffrey.